And Amanda's like, you know what? I'm going to buy a sari because I think it would be really cool. And Rod Blagojevich walks up to her, and she's quite lovely, and said, "What part of India are you from?"
Oh, no, he didn't. Why was he at that wedding?
Because these people, of course, I can't say names, but their family business builds these little things called airports all over the world.
Bit of pocket change there.
Yeah.
I think everyone has a Rod Blagojevich story. I met him when he was running for Congress, before he was running for governor, when I lived downtown. And he was out, because I used to vote right in my lobby of my apartment building. And he was out on the sidewalk shaking people's hands as they were going in to vote. And so I went outside to go to work, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Rod Blagojevich. I want to be your congressman." I had just moved to Chicago. And so he shook my hand. He's like, "I hope I have your vote." I'm like, "I have the slightest freaking clue who you are. And I don't vote." I'm one of those people that, if I don't know who the candidate is, I leave my ballot empty. So I was just like, "All right, nice to meet you." But that name always stuck in my head. I will admit, vote for him when he ran for governor, just because I figured out who he was after that. Big mistake.
Yeah, and we do have a no politics rule, but we can talk about the events. So any other politician highlights there, Mark? Bill Clinton,
Yeah,
Obama?
so it's funny when you talk about Planned Parenthood, one of my favorite, and that's been a while, so because we haven't done that event, and it was the Roe v. Wade event.
Yeah, they stopped using the Ritz, didn't they?
Right. The past governor of Texas, Ann Richards, spoke at it, was the guest speaker. Oh my God. And then after she passed away, her daughter, who's now the head of Planned Parenthood, I believe, on a corporate level, she came, and she was so lovely. Oh my God. I'm a huge fan. And so I called friends of mine. Again, we can't talk politics, but I called friends of mine in Texas. I'm like, "I met Ann Richards," and they're like, "That's too bad for you."
What? What?
Well, many Texans are not of that ilk, that party.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Texas. But other politicians, well, if you look behind me on this wall, you can't really see, but I had one organization that every year their keynote speaker was always usually someone that was 2 to 6 years out before running for president. So President Biden I met and spent a lot of time with, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, President Obama, who also he spoke at a Planned Parenthood event once too, actually. So that was fun. And the Bushes and Laura Bush, oh my goodness, the most lovely, lovely person. She spoke at a Rush Women's Board event one year, and that was memorable for sure.
You and I could probably have a, "Hey, I had this person in my event" trade-off. I haven't had the because of our nature of our organization, we can't do specific political things. But
right.
I did meet Sandra Day O'Connor once.
Oh wow!
And we had Bruce Browner speak at a luncheon once. So we tend to get, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. But a year ago, before we all shut down, my last big event was Dwayne Wade. Let me tell ya, that was pretty damn cool. To the same year, so I'm just hitting all my cool icons.
I did that Common Ground event one year too. Actually, their first year I did it. It was extremely difficult, but it was a great event.
Okay, we could go offline and talk about this one because oh my God! But let me tell you, it was fabulous. Once we got to the event, it was fabulous.
And I think our listeners would love to know, again, you work so hard to get these events going. When they're actually executed, Mark, do you like to stand back and breathe and look at your handiwork?
Yeah, I have to say, and this is just me in general, what I loved about my career in events and hotel world was the planning, because I think everyone in life, you always, and I always tell brides this too, you always look forward to what's next and so the planning is the whole effort of looking forward to something. And I do think that's been the hardest thing the last 11 months is there's not been a lot to look forward to. So it's been hard for a lot of us. It's been hard for everyone, but I think specifically event people, because that's how we lived. You always live like 6 weeks out or a year out or 3 months out. And that was my favorite thing, was the planning. And then, yeah, at the event, I remember, every night I'd go home and I'd look at, back in the day, the Ritz had those beautiful, that heron sculpture in the middle of the lobby.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they look like they're flying out of the hotel. They're now in the park right across the street after they renovated. And I used to look at those herons and think, that's me. I'm leaving. I'm going out.
I agree with you about this past year. I basically lived my 2020 in my apartment, rebooking or issuing refunds to all of our clients. And, I'm really looking forward to getting back to it. The one thing I don't miss is I would leave the event at the end of the night and think, I'm going to have to crawl to the car because my knees hurt so bad for standing for 9 hours. So
Yeah.
I don't miss that.
Same.
You're an athlete.
When I was in my 20s, I was naive and thought I had to wear 4-inch heels at all my events on marble floors, and my knees are shot. And also running marathons without properly training for them kind of like throws your whole body out of whack. So my legs are shot. But I agree with Mark. I miss that feeling. I miss having a purpose. But you know what? I will say this, and I don't know if you feel this way, Mark. When we started canceling events, I had 2 clients that I was dreading working with even a year before, and they both canceled, and I was so relieved. That was the best money I've ever refunded.
Mark, surely you loved all your clients, or?
I have to say, and this is, just being at a Four Seasons or Ritz Carlton, being at that level. I mean, there certainly were, clients like that, were more challenging, but it was so rare. I mean, I have to say, they were challenging in different ways. I mean, one of my more difficult parties actually was supposed to be, and it was not, the client is one of my dearest friends, and I just got her saved the date for, it's moved to October of this year. It was tough, and I was so nervous for the event because it was so complicated, and she has such a high expectation level and design expertise, and actually baking also was one of her expertise. So we'll talk offline about that. But she was putting together this amazing event. It was supposed to be on the 14th of March, and couldn't happen. I mean, the 13th was D-Day.
With us.
And 13th was one of my favorite galas of the year. It's Timeline Theater, their gala, which seriously is my favorite. My husband and I are big theater lovers, and so I did go after a lot of the theater companies. Yeah. But but no, I'm trying to think. Did I have any? Yeah, maybe. I think I did have one like that I wasn't so sad about. But I unfortunately was furloughed way at the beginning. So for whatever reason, that was a decision they made. And then, so that was really, really difficult for me. So I had a week only of doing what you've been doing with the moving and rebooking and shuffling and force majeure. And I didn't really have to deal with any of that.
Yeah,
or get paid for it.
Christy's one of the unusual ones that's still working. I mean, don't know if you know, but in June is when I turned around, and actually at the end of May, when my father passed away in Australia and I had to go to his funeral on Zoom, a big Ritz Carlton fan my father was when my writing was on the wall. I just turned around and went, it's got to go. I'm shutting it down. It came into my heart of 14 years of memories. But, I was doing 2 months of whatever it was that we were doing through the pandemic. I don't even remember. I think it was partly mental health reasons to be working. I can't imagine not working, but it was that decision was made. So what was your so the decision was made for you, Mark, it seems.
Yeah, I was the only person in my peer group at my level that lost their job that I knew of in Chicago. One of my peers in San Francisco is still in the same situation. He's still furloughed. I don't know what the decision-making process was other than one thing, and it was money. I mean, that was it. I don't I still to this day, and I can say this publicly because no one's told me, I don't understand why they made that decision. Langham up until a week ago, yes.
Oh, see.
So yeah, I don't know about Trump. We didn't compete so much with Trump, sometime for weddings, but sadly for them, because it's such a lovely, lovely, well-run hotel, but the last few years for them have been very
Shocking.
tricky.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't
Yeah.
think that he has actual management jurisdiction. It just has his name on the thing.
No,
Now,
it's
it's
the Trump organization. Yeah. In fact,
Eric,
in my new life, I just listed 4 condominiums in that building today.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Well done.
You know, I want to get to
Yeah.
the real. I will say this. We shut down on March 13th, and I kept my job because I again, it's really hard because I can't list where I actually work, but I will say this: our catering team, which is actually another company, they furloughed. They have properties all around the United States. They furloughed just about everybody and are still furloughed. I don't know why they did. And the thing that's frustrating me is I need them to start coming back because we're looking to start having events again, and I need them to be finishing the catering proposals and everything else. And they have one person in corporate kind of doing all of it. But the thing I've been hearing is they can't bring the catering team back till they know when events are starting because that's the only way they can pay them.
Okay, well, Mark, do you know when events are starting? It's the question on everyone's lips.
Well, I mean, today I'm sort of listening to MSNBC way too much, and today sounded so optimistic. I mean, they're saying that the vaccines, they think it's possible that a good chunk of people will be vaccinated by May or June. I just heard today, because of changes that our current presidential administration have changed. Again, we're not getting political, but it's, I mean, you hear all the bad stuff about how bad the vaccine rollout is, but it's looking optimistic, and they're still saying we have to wear masks, and now they're saying 2 is not a bad idea. But I would think by fall, at the latest. I mean, but that's just me. Who knows, And I've not been in touch with, and I have to say, I do, Christy, I cannot imagine what you've been going through, because in the little communication I've had with the Ritz Carlton, it's been not the most pleasant thing to deal with,
I can tell you a couple of things. I know as of today, Chicago's moved into the next phase, and we've gone from 25 people in a room to 50 people in a room for events and restaurants. So it's getting better with that. I can also tell you that not only, are there still catering staff missing us? There's 3 venues in Chicago that rebooked their 2020 brides to 21, and then all of a sudden out of the blue decided they just weren't going to do any events for 2021. And all these women are scrambling, trying to find a new. Which, when we found this out, I'm in kind of like a little venue group that was started by one of the catering companies, and there's about 65 of us, and we meet once a month to discuss what's going. And it's a combination of venue people, catering people, and a few vendors. And we're hearing there's still possible conventions coming up in July and August from Choose Chicago. So
yeah, I heard that too.
So things are, I mean,
it's just so conflicting.
I get updates probably at least once a week from someone, and then there's a couple of event coalition, and then there's another one. So I'm getting all the updates, but I'm feeling positive. But
at the end of the day, it's the employer that matters, and Mark's employer is not giving him. I mean, the Ritz. I can't imagine how they're feeling. Have any hotels actually shuttered?
A few have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Ritz is closed. The Four Seasons
they're not
is
having
closed.
guests.
Yeah.
No.
Blackstone closed. Hilton on Michigan Avenue closed. Palmer
The Weston's been closed.
The Palmer House
May.
is shuttered.
Yeah. No, there's many that are closed.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were closed. I thought they were still taking.
What they're saying, I remember specifically what they're saying. The combination of people getting the vaccine, which is lower than they want, but it's getting there, and people who've had COVID, is starting to create herd immunity, is what they're saying. And I heard that today. I'm like, I wanted to jump up and down, because it's the first positive thing I've heard,
I watch the Today Show every morning, and they had Dr. Fauci on this morning talking about how. And then actually, as I was walking over to you, I was looking